Processualismo scientifico realistico e la fisica degli inosservabili. Einstein, Husserl e Neelamkavil. Questa ricerca fa parte della mia tesi dottorale, prossima a difendersi alla fine di settembre 2023.
Scientific realistic processualism and the physics of unobservables. Einstein, Husserl and Neelamkavil. The line of argument is as follows. 1. Categories which are extension and change, universals which are ontological, connotative and denotative, and 2. Unobservables in physics, and 3. Scientific realistic processualism, and 4. Physical and cosmological applications. To be implies exhaustively extension and change and not space and time. And as I shall show, extension plus change is equal to causality. Without beings in existence, that is, to be, there is no science. Existence is not vacuous, and so non-vacuous existence naturally have extension, that is, they have parts, they are composed. This is existence category number 1. Both parts and wholes can interact. They cause impacts on finite number of other existence and on themselves. This is change, existence category number 2. Change involves motion, but it's not the same as motion. Extension and change together means the exhaustive implications of the to be of reality in total, which is the highest natural kind. No greater physical ontological category is ever thinkable. Existence in extension change means from extension-wise existent parts originate finite outward and inward impacts. This is nothing but causality. All existence, including photons, neutrinos, gravitons, etc., are therefore causal. Otherwise, they cannot exist at all, because anything that exists should in any case be in extension change, and extension change is nothing but causality, and hence universal causality is a pre-scientific law. Extension, change and causality are pre-scientific categories. So no quantum physicist can now say that some processes, observables for example, are causal and others partial observables like unobservables are statistically causal or even non-causal. Also, relatively small natural kinds, that is to say ordered and organized parts of reality in total, have characteristics. These are called ontological universals, or in other words, modes or ways of being or processes or qualities or forms. For example, thickness, malleability, coloredness, etc. These are primarily in natural kinds and only thus in individual token entities within the natural kinds. Hence, space is a measure of extension, time is a measure of change, and these are cognitive epistemic categories of perceptor. This implies the strength of the Kantian and Husserlian traditions. Epistemic space-time cannot curve as some physicists believe. Extension change-wise existent matter-energy conglomerations do curve. For relativity to be tenable, space and time need not exist at all. Nothing exists in space and time, but instead existence exists in extension change. Ontological universals and their conglomerations. I believe that existence is primary and knowing is only secondary. Hence, whether we perceive or not, reality exists. Things are processes. Their ways of being as processes or qualities or forms do not belong to one processual entity alone, so they are universals. Some of them are absolutely universal, for example, extension and change. Some are universal to some natural kinds alone. At perception, the primary reference is not to our notions of universals, but to the specific ways, that is, say, universals that belong to certain natural kinds together. These universals belong to some existent natural kinds. They are primarily in processes, not in our minds. These are ontological universals. Hence, primary reference always is to processes. They are not separately active, but active with other universals. Conglomerations of ontological universals in processes may be called individual or common properties and not qualities. For example, chemical properties. Many theoretical entities are mere properties, expression theories as the many not yet proved and or non-existent unobservables. Potential energy is a standard example. It's a property. It does not exist like energy carrier photons exist. Connotative universals and their concatenations. Each experience is a sum of present cognitive acts plus the results of previous ones via universals. Experiences generally and particularly of existence plus ontological universals. The vague reflections of ontological universals in the brain-mind are connotative universals. That is to say, ontological universals noted together, noted together by mind from processes. Connotative universals plus the epistemically active brain elements are called concepts. Abstract concepts are vaguely inherited from existing processes but indirectly. That is to say, these are called connotative universals. Connotatives concatenate in the minds as thoughts, feelings, theories, etc. Here, symbolization is involved. Actual thoughts, feelings, theories, etc. in the mind take also the relevant brain elements. Connotatives are essences according to Husserl. Their abstract receptacle is called by him as the cogito. He speculated so due to the conceptual purity of essences, that is, connotatives. But the term essence is loaded with complications and confusions of more than 2 millennia. Now we come to denotative universals and their concatenations. Conceptual entities or connotative universals get reflected in symbolic expression. These are called denotative universals. Their concatenative expression in languages, including mathematics, algorithms, etc., are concepts, statements, and theories, and all kinds of discourse. Cognition is impossible without ontological, connotative, and denotative universals and the concatenations of the latter two in cognition and language. Ontological universals issue from some layers of processual things, process from some layers of phenomena, and reach our experience. Unobservables in physics. This is the second topic. Science deals with observables and unobservables via theoretical terms representing, first of all, hypothesized, not yet observables, called unobservables, and secondly, the properties that pertain to unobservables and observables. This constitutes the problem of the unobservables. Unobservables, first of all, have indeterminate intentional horizons between ontological, connotative, and denotative universals, and secondly, are products of unknown intentional functions crudely and naively exercised. In its empirical concretion, some unobservables become existent, which presumes the existence and access of reality outside the subject. Science can admit that many conceptual foundations that support scientific theories are not verified by the direct observation, but were conceived under theoretical speculation. Thus, theoretical terms and unobservable entities are the same as the foundational conceptions of scientific theories and of fundamental laws. Under Husserl's phenomenology and Weil's and Einstein's physical realism, the triadic relationship, that is, reality or world, possibility, and essence, may be postulated as a proposal enabling an adequate analysis of physics. It requires the incorporation of general categories allowing conceptual expression of observables and unobservables. The categories must comply with procedural aspects that account for the dynamism of entities. They must show the invariant structures underlying reality in total. These are extension and change. These are ontological and not connotative essences. Essences in Husserl and physics. When an object occurs in consciousness from phenomena as experienced, the vision acquires primary perceptual importance by apprehension of the subject of phenomenon as a phenomenal object, that is, Erlebnis. Faced with the phenomenon or object that we claim to know, we must try, according to Husserl, to obtain access to its essence from each aspect or instance of the experience. This is obtained under previous possibility conditions that account for the reality experienced by the subject at each instant of perception or cognition. These objects are examples of theoretical entities involving essences in the cognition of aspects regarding the conceptually problematic areas in physics: field, symmetry, energy, quark, boson, graviton, etc. These are varied experimental and theoretical entities that are mind-accessible and impregnated with a multiplicity of possibilities through which we obtain knowledge. This is what proves the access of essences as a prerequisite of perception, cognition, and thinking. Thus, science is the science of the possibilities of knowing. Science in its search cannot access any absolute truth, but rather the adjustments between possibility and idealization of truth. Fundamental physical principles or laws of conservation find in Husserl's phenomenology a footing for access through essential vision towards the understanding of theoretical entities and distinguishing their constitution in reality through intersubjectivity. Intersubjectivity is the product of the process of understand experience. The concepts of unobservables are concatenations of essences or connotatives linked to the subjective absolute and objective relative duality. We have access to them through the phenomenological method, especially under consideration of the multiple possibilities that precondition experience by the subject in reality.
Processualismo scientifico realistico. E tutto quello che si è parlato prima possiamo riassumere nei seguenti 4 punti il processualismo scientifico realistico, cioè la realtà, il fenomeno, il soggetto, il linguaggio, tutto attraverso della terminologia universale ontologico, universale connotativo e universale denotativo. Su questo possiamo riassumere il processualismo scientifico realistico attraverso anche di 4 punti in più, cioè la scienza è il modo più comune di produrre la verità e il progresso. Dopo, la scienza deve essere collegata attraverso il realismo, cioè scienziati teorici della scienza dovrebbero chiarire l'esistenza dei suoi costrutti, cioè inosservabili, attraverso i suoi attributi. E in questo punto, lo più importante da collegare tra la fisica e la filosofia su questo punto è quella che è la realtà, che viene attraverso le 2 distinzioni, una la realtà esistente e dopo quello tutto che appartiene a tutte quelle realtà che appartengono all'esistente. Da qui possiamo anche, finalmente come 4 punto, capire che il più alto attributo universale di tutto quello che esiste viene attraverso della estensione e cambiamento, dove la sua unione la possiamo intendere come causalità e il processo che è una unità del causa-effetto e la conservazione di tutto esistente reale. Velocemente andiamo a vedere una applicazione alla fisica, alla cosmologia di questo processualismo scientifico realistico. Quindi, primeramente possiamo di alcun modo mostrare il collegamento tra Husserl, Neelamkavil e Einstein attraverso quello seguente schema, dove la parte sinistra troviamo tutti gli elementi che appartengono alla fenomenologia di Husserl, mentre che al centro troviamo la dicotomia tra il soggetto e l'oggetto. E finalmente alla parte destra troviamo tutto quello che appartiene alla ontologia scientifica di Neelamkavil, cioè quindi possiamo capire la parte sinistra, la scienza, l'epoche, la soggettività, che viene collegata, vincolata alla dicotomia soggettività-oggettività, e che finalmente questo appartiene o viene collegato all'ontologia attraverso l'estensione e il cambiamento. Ma possiamo capire meglio tutto questo attraverso l'equazione di Einstein. Se noi prendiamo l'equazione più semplice di Einstein, possiamo distinguere due parti. La prima parte è una parte ontologica che fa riferimento all'estensione e cambiamento, cioè all'ontologia scientifica di Neelamkavil, e una parte epistemologica. Questa parte epistemica o epistemologica fa riferimento allo spazio-tempo e quindi a tutta la geometria. Così il tensore metrico, l'accelerazione di Einstein, tutto quello che viene a definire la curvatura o il campo gravitazionale sarebbe collegato alla parte epistemica. Anche l'oggetto intenzionale, quando il soggetto fa del suo scopo di ricerca un oggetto intenzionale, deve andare sull'essenza, seguendo tutta la filosofia di Husserl. Però se noi possiamo ancora sviluppare più questo processualismo scientifico realistico attraverso delle equazioni di Einstein, possiamo andare a approfondire in un'altra equazione, un'equazione che va collegata soprattutto a un modello di stella dei neutroni. Questa è l'equazione di campo di Einstein, e qui possiamo trovare anche degli elementi di Husserl ma anche degli elementi di Neelamkavil. Così parliamo di un tensore e come punto in partenza il tensore energia-momentum, che come sappiamo fa riferimento al problema degli inosservabili, attraverso del quale possiamo distinguere la realtà dinamica con quello dell'estensione al cambiamento, mentre che tutte le grandezze derivate, cioè parliamo di densità, pressione, anche la velocità quadridimensionale, in questo punto anche la parte geometrica, e stiamo parlando di tutto quello che è lo spazio-tempo, e con quello parliamo della parte epistemologica, che fa riferimento alla filosofia di Husserl, anche delle condizioni epistemica cognoscitiva. Il termine di Neelamkavil sarebbero del connotativi, universali connotativi. Quindi così possiamo capire come attraverso il collegamento tra Husserl e Neelamkavil, una applicazione sull'equazione di campo di Einstein, possiamo distinguere tutti gli elementi della filosofia su un'equazione fisica. Va bene, molte grazie.